Hey, John.
Hello, Bonnie.
Hey, everyone.
Bonnie, guess what? Guess what? What is today's date? Or what is today?
November 9th, Wednesday,
And what time is it?
noon,
Isn't it
like
weird that
lunch.
I know we're doing consultant confidence and next we'll do um, lunch and
Lunch
learn
and learn at
all.
lunchtime?
Yes.
Yes.
But I thought it was kind of nice that today, since we're talking about time management as our strategy, that we actually, if you schedule something, do it when you say you're going to schedule it. And that's when I think in Mary Kay, Bonnie, wouldn't you agree that half the time a side gig like a Mary Kay business can be put to like the 20th thing on your list? But if you would just do one thing consistently so many times a week, even weekly, look at what would happen at the end of the year for doing that consistent work.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
So,
John, they have a phrase. It's called take the time, your time will take you. So if you don't figure out your time management, time will take you. We all have the same amount of time. And doesn't it seem we all have people in our lives that get like a ton of things done, or they seem like they're organized on doing things, and you're like, oh, I just can't even get the garbage to the curb.
Yep.
And like it's just a matter of really learning to manage your time. And I think as we're talking about this and just starting this conversation, I think people can go into a spot of like, oh, like overwhelm, or like I'm too busy, or all those things. And you know what? You're not. You
Yes.
just need to add things one at a time. So you don't have to change your whole universe. But if you develop a good time management tip, this week and next week and the next week, at the end of it, you'll have great time management things happening. Right?
Yes. And so, Bonnie, we didn't talk about this, but I'm going to do something. I want you to think back like 40 years ago or 35 years ago when you were a mother of 3 kids and you just started your Mary Kay business and times were different then. What 2 things do you think helped you with your time management to build your business to where it is now?
Oh, well, one, I remember having very young kids, and I use a notebook now, but at that time I used something else, but my date book probably. But I had a place that even when I was doing things with kids, feeding, whatever, I could run over and go, oh, Dawn Wingard, I need to call her. So I could write it down. Every time I thought of something, wrote it down. And that way, when I did have those free like blocks of time, I knew exactly what needed to be done. So it was just it was simple, but it was effective.
Yep.
You want another one, huh?
And I remember I worked full time and I didn't have kids then. And I remember one night, like making phone calls till like 7:15. And I called my friend Nola, who recruited me in business. And she goes, I thought you had a facial tonight. And I said, oh, it postponed till next week. She goes, what are you doing calling me now? And I said, well, I just wanted to catch up with you, see what's going on. She goes, oh no, go make an hour's worth of phone call, have an ice cream stay, and then go to bed. So that just taught me that I had slotted business in. So if you've slotted business in, I think it was one of my things of my consistency and my, I'm going to say persistence, that really helped me tremendously. What would you like to tell people watching?
What did I want to tell people? You know what? I also remember learning to use the weekly plan sheet. And we were going to talk a little bit about that, but it made me be able to say no to things. When you have a weekly plan sheet, and I don't have one right here to show you, but I can get one. But when you have a weekly plan sheet and you fill out what your schedule is looking like, it was really easy for me to look at it because it's full and it's colored in. And it was easy for me to say to my kids, this time mama has to work. See that green there? I'm going to be working. But do you see that blue time? That's all your time. So it was really an easy way for me to talk to my kids about time and not sticking extra things in. People also would call and they say, "Oh, can you do this?" And I'd go, I'd be like, "Oh no, there's no, I can't write it on I can't write it on that sheet anymore because it's all filled in." One time I remember a neighbor called me to go somewhere, and I said, "Ooh, I have a little bit of work to do. I have a little bit of work to do yet." And she goes, "Oh, did you get a job?" And I go, "No, I have a job." That was, yeah. And I was like, "No, I have a job." Just like Dawn said, she filled in her time. She did her, scheduled her time to work, and that was my scheduled time to work. So I wasn't distracted by things that came up. It was important enough to me to hold that time slot and not knowing that I could go off and do something fun in a little bit, but I needed to, have phone calls what I set goals to.
Well, and then I was at church one day, and this lady came up to me and she goes, "Dawn, I was wondering if you could join this committee. It's only one night a month." And I looked at her and I said, "What don't you understand?" Situation. I said, "I'm a mom to Dylan." I said, "I work 3 nights a week. So if I came to you and said, take off one day a month to join something, you wouldn't take, my days are 2.5 hours. Your work days are 8." I said, "You wouldn't take off a day of work to help." So I said, "You know what?" She goes, "Will you think about it?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll think about it." But the answer is still no. So, and once I learned I could say no and it would be okay, then it's, yeah.
Well, I was just on a conversation. I'm in a Bible study, and we were talking about time today, so it's kind of funny. And we mentioned when you say yes to something, you say no to something else. So if Dawn would have said yes, I can do that, she'd say no to something else, like being with Dylan or her job. And I don't think you have to say no to everything. So I don't want that to come across, because I do volunteer and I do things. But I ask myself, what is that fulfilling, and why do I want to do that? Is that important to me? Or is there something more important to me?
Yes. Well, and I even remember somebody I knew bowled, and bowling's not as popular anymore, but bowling is like a commitment that you do 40 weeks a year. Okay. You take off for the summer. So, you have to decide, does it bring you joy? Does it fulfill what it does? Is your own prerogative. But yes, but again, you take time or time takes you. And so we talked about that. We talked about no. Bonnie, so can you just tell people who are listening, Mary Kay we've talked about 3 different things: a weekly plan sheet, filling out your weekly accomplishment sheets, because that's a time saver, and then your 6 most important things. Can you just talk briefly about those 3 great tools?
Sure. Mary Kay has something, actually, it's kind of funny. Oh, I thought I had it laying here. I found an old little pad of Mary Kay's 6 most important things to do list. It's in my box over here. But Mary Kay had a list, and it was 6 most important things to do. And it wasn't 20 things. It wasn't personal things. It was 6 most important things to do for your business. And I think that, if you can do 6 and you can look at your list, make it the night before. So when you get up, you have direction. You're not like, "Oh, what was I going to do today?" But make it the night before. You wake up, have your cup of coffee, do whatever you need to do. And then you look at your list and you go, "Okay, I have 6 things to do." And then tackle that list that way, instead of thinking I have 12 things to do or 40 things to do.
And the other thing, I think what's most important about that 6 most important things is, let's say you're a very spare time. You might not have 6 Mary Kay things every day. You might have 6 things that 3 or 4 or 5, 6 things that you might want to do like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Does that make sense? So, I think you have to, but writing it down so that way you don't go, "What did I have to do?" And it could be as easy as get a book to this person, mail this, follow up. So it's just so that way when you do sit down to work, you can get that done.
Right.
Yep.
And I think it's important to keep your personal list. You can have a 6 most important list for your personal life too, but just to not keep that, because the truth is, if I had to do 6 most important things, you know what? There'd be some personal things on there, and maybe I wouldn't get anything done. So
Yes.
that's where doing a list for your business
Yep.
really helps.
And then the weekly plan sheet, do you keep like 3 weeks out so that way your family knows what's going on and you know what your family, where you have to go, Bonnie?
Well, nobody in my family except my husband really cares what I'm doing 2 weeks from now. So I think I did do that before. But now I like to do just at the beginning of the week, Sunday night, I'll
Yep.
just fill out where I am. And what is helpful about that is, put it on a counter, and just that, am I going to be around for dinner? Am I not going to be around?
Yes.
And do I have something going on, or am I home all day? So it's just so it's like eliminates that confusion. Now, a weekly plan sheet, the real purpose of a weekly plan sheet is when you do the weekly plan sheet, Sunday to Saturday, you fill in the blocks of time. If you work another job, you fill that in. Family time, kids' activities, church time, Mary Kay time, whatever it is, and you color code it. And when you color code things, pink would be like I just got a Mary Kay order. It's important for me to do. It's not necessarily making me a ton of money to just put labels on things and put things away. It's kind of pink time. Green time is when you're going to get together with a customer and you're seeing someone. I got together with someone this morning. That's green time to me because it's like real work time.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, and the reason I say that, and you can make your kids and your spiritual life and any other colors you want and your job, but pink and green and red for recruiting, when you look at your weekly accomplishment sheet, you can tell if you have a balance of things going on.
Yes.
For instance, sometimes you might feel like, oh my gosh, I am not doing very good. I'm not like selling anything. My week is $10, or, you might like wonder what you're doing. And then you look back at your weekly plan sheet and you're like, oh, there was no green on there. No wonder I didn't make any
Yes.
money.
Yes.
Because it's all pink time. So you have to keep that balance of pink and green.
Yep. And then Bonnie, the other thing, I think you mentioned that you set up your week like on Sunday night. I think the other important thing to do on your Sunday night is record your sales, record your wholesale purchases, record your interviews. So that way for tax purposes, you're not running around at the end of the year. So doing your weekly accomplishment sheets is a great thing. I think another good tool from the company is preferred customer program. That's a great time management because the company will automatically send books out for you quarterly. Of course, you pay for that, but that way the books are mailed. You don't have to get the books in. You don't have to look for addresses. The company does that, and then you can just follow up.
And you know exactly where their addresses are. So it's
Yes.
not ever a question of like, oh, I have to deliver to Susie Q. What's her address? Where do I find that? It's just I go to my app or I go to my computer. I look it up in my customers and I have all her information right there.
So we talked about distractions. So if you have a block of time that you have allotted, sometimes distractions happen. Sometimes you get a chatty Cathy. Sometimes, set a timer so that you know how long you're going to have to work. I've already had it where I've been on the phone with somebody and, they just won't, I like to talk to people, but if I know I only have 45 minutes and I had 10 reach outs I wanted to do, all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my God, somebody's delivering something and I have to go and get it. So so if anybody's listening and I've ever done that to you, that doesn't mean that somebody didn't come to my door. Mary Kay used to ring the doorbell. No, I never did that to you. Did I? Probably. But it's not like I don't call you back. So distractions, setting up to make sure that you have the time to work. I remember sitting on the floor in my second bedroom before I had a desk and with my profile box, just making phone calls. And I don't know why. Maybe I was waiting for my office to be set up, but I just remember, doing things that set up really good work habits. And I just think having a goal so that either it's a sales goal or it's a selling, miracle set, whatever it is, to get you to make the phone calls. Otherwise, at the end of the week, you'll just say, I'll do it next week. And guess what? Sometimes next week doesn't come. And then you get sad. So,
I think when you said timer, I use a timer a lot. And I set the timer on my phone for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, little blocks of time, an hour, whatever I have. Even if you're cleaning a big mess somewhere or you want to clean in your office, but you have to, get some stuff done, just set a timer for 15 minutes and be done with it. I think just I have a clipboard that I put things on. And I think just having a place where you put orders to go out, or you have a place where you put sales tickets done, customer list, keep it right there. So, at any given time, it's not like, oh, where did I do that list? But that it's right there in a certain place all the time. So I think that is such time management.
Right. So I guess I would be curious if anybody's watching this to maybe shout out later what some of your tips are, because we'd love to share them. So
we would. I love that.
Next, we will be continuing. I think it might be money management next month or next week.
I think so. Yes. Money management, emotional management, and one other thing coming up.
So we will see you next week. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.